You know that moment when you confidently say, "Relax, I've got this"? Just before things spectacularly fall apart, but welcome to humanity's entire history. If humans had a catchphrase, it would probably be, "What could possibly go wrong?" And if history had a catchphrase, it would immediately reply, "Funny you should ask." About 12,000 years ago, humans, already smug from domesticating wheat and bossing sheep around, decided they'd have a crack at something even trickier, controlling each other. Enter the kings, queens, and bureaucrats. Now nothing screams we're in charge. Quite like building a city full of massive monuments nobody needs. So that's exactly what they did, naturally. But there's always a catch, isn't there? Big plans rarely consider all the fine print, like, what if this goes horribly wrong? Or how will this affect everyone else? Humans, historically, have always been rubbish at spotting these minor details. And about 5,000 years ago, humanity had one of these delightfully brilliant yet terrible moments of realization. Controlling nature is tricky, but controlling people is even trickier. Take the ancient Egyptians, huge fans of pyramids, crocodile gods, and mummifying cats. You'd think a civilization capable of embalming felines would have it all figured out. Well, no. For instance, they built cities by rivers, which sounds sensible until the river decided randomly to flood. Every few years, instead of gently watering crops, it unleashed torrents that destroyed everything, drowning crops and irritating everyone. Imagine proudly building a city next to your friendly local river, only to discover it had a seasonal anger management issue. Suddenly, all that optimism became just mud and frustration. Humans, refusing to admit they'd made a slight geographical oversight, doubled down on trying to control nature even more. They created elaborate irrigation systems, complicated calendars, and prayed very loudly, hoping at least one strategy would keep the river gods happy. Mostly it didn't, but that never stopped them from trying. Then came the unintended consequences. Humanity's trademark. When you pack thousands of people into one place, you quickly discover that not everyone's great at hygiene. It's like leaving teenagers home alone for a weekend. Everything starts out neat, but within hours it's chaos, disease is everywhere, and someone's invariably lost their trousers. Diseases loved these early cities. Close quarters, terrible sanitation, and zero antibiotics. Honestly, ancient cities were less civilization and more survival reality TV. Who wants dysentery today? Then humans tried something new, writing things down. Initially brilliant. Suddenly they could remember who owned what without endless arguments and fistfights. The downside? Bureaucracy. Endless tablets with numbers scribbled on them, carefully stored in giant rooms, managed by people whose entire lives revolved around keeping things tidy. Congratulations, humanity. You'd invented paperwork, and simultaneously the first boring office jobs. Writing also introduced lies, or as they're politely called, official records. Pharaohs commissioned texts declaring they'd single-handedly conquered enemies or persuaded the sun to rise. Nobody wrote down things like, actually, the battle didn't go well. Pharaoh tripped over his own sandal and landed face first in camel dung. History, you see, is written by people good at paperwork, not necessarily at honesty. But humans didn't stop there. Not satisfied with property lists, we invented money. A way to quantify exactly how much stuff everyone owned, or in most cases didn't. With money came debt. Humans didn't realize it at first, but money had a dark side. It made people worry constantly about not having enough of it. Before money, the worst thing you could lose was your favorite sharp stick. Now suddenly, people could lose everything, including their freedom, just because they owed someone else a shiny pebble. And because some people always want more shiny pebbles, they started enslaving other people, creating a world that wasn't just unfair, it was spectacularly unfair. Ancient humans quickly got good at rationalizing slavery, claiming it was the natural order, or that the gods had personally told them, "You know what I fancy today? Human misery." It's remarkable how easily humans can invent convenient explanations for terrible ideas. Human societies became full of inequalities, not just between rich and poor, but between men and women. For reasons that mostly boiled down to muscle mass, men usually got to be kings, priests, and tax collectors. Women, meanwhile, were stuck carrying buckets of water, having endless babies, and being suspiciously left out of most stories about heroes and inventors. It's as if someone decided that carrying a baby around all day wasn't heroic enough. Of course, humans also found themselves regularly at war, usually for one reason. Other people had nicer things and weren't keen on handing them over politely. So ancient kings started building armies. Massive groups of people paid specifically to run at enemies, waving pointy sticks on the off chance they'd get some of those shiny pebbles. Soldiers didn't always enjoy this lifestyle, but they did it anyway, mainly because refusing usually ended with an appointment with the executioner. Talk about limited career options. This pattern repeated itself again and again. Humans invent something clever, enjoy it for about 5 minutes, then spend centuries regretting it. Agriculture seemed brilliant until it created disease, slavery, and taxes. Writing looked fantastic until someone started sending eviction notices. Money solved trade but spawned greed and debt. Each new solution created its own unique set of problems which humans immediately tried solving, typically making things even worse. But here's the kicker. Despite all this trouble, humans never stopped believing everything was under control. No matter how many plagues, wars, or financial disasters came along, people always thought, next time, we'll do it properly. So, in the end, humans kept trudging forward from one self-inflicted disaster to another, convinced that this time they'd finally figured it all out, just moments before accidentally starting another war, another famine, or another series of unfortunate events. Perhaps this persistent optimism is humanity's real superpower, or perhaps it's our biggest flaw. Either way, rest assured, history teaches us one thing clearly. Whenever someone confidently says everything's under control, it's probably time to duck.